إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the subject of today's khutbah is the temporary world and the everlasting essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will touch the recent incidents in the Middle East, inshallah. So in Surah An'am, Allah Rabbul Alamin is saying, وَلَهُ مَا سَكَنَ فِي اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَلَهُ مَا سَكَنَ, and to him belongs that which reposes. Sakana, sukoon, whatever you see in sukoon, in tranquility, in rest, in sleeping, dwelling, lurking, existing in calmness, that means whatever exists. What a beauty of the word in the Quran. Lahu ma sakana. Whatever we see quietly existing in this world in front of our eyes belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever it is by night or whatever it is by day, whatever we see and whatever we don't see, everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we understand and follow this verse and keep in our mind and heart, our life on earth is going to be very easy. And even at the time of our departure from this earth, it will be very easy for us to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and leaving this earth and going into the everlasting life with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That lahu ma sakana wal layla wal nahar. Everything belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever reposes by night and by day. There is another verse in Surah Rahman, we know it. كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. All that is on earth will perish, will vanish, will go away, will be destroyed. But ويبقى will abide forever. The face of your Lord, the existence of your Lord, the very entity of your Lord will be forever. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes two of his attributes after saying this: full of majesty and bounty, generosity, full of honor. In Surah Baqarah 255, Ayatul Kursi, in the very beginning, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allahu la ilaha illahu al-hayyul qayyum. Allah, there is no God but He, the living, the self-subsisting, self-supporting, eternal. Explanation we can understand in a better way that Allah lives, but His life, He self-subsisting, self-supporting entity, and eternal. It does not depend upon other beings. Sometimes we mix this up with the quality and with the life of our lives with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That makes a big difference. It does not depend, the self-subsisting quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not depend upon other being. And it is not limited to time and space. And the quality of Qayyum, the attribute of Qayyum, includes not only the idea of self-subsisting, but also the idea of keeping up and maintaining all life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supporting Himself by His entity and attributes, and not only that, with the Qayyum quality, He is supporting others, all His creations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying about the earth we are treading on, وَالْأَرْضَ وَضَعَهَا لِلْأَنَامِ. It is He who has spread out the earth for His creatures. How can Allah's favors be counted? Look at the earth alone, whatever we can see in our mortal eye. Life and conditions here are mutually balanced for Allah's creatures. We'll be surprised if we analyze this. The vegetable world produces fruit of various kinds, or corn or grain of various kinds for human food. Leaves and straw become the food of the animal, and the grain becomes the food of human. With the same plant, same vegetation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranges food for the animals and food for human beings as well. The plants not only supply food, but sweet-smelling herbs and flowers as well. Dear fellow Muslims, when we walk, we are walking under our feet we see grass, concrete bricks, pavement, soils, dust. But this earth Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made for us in this manner. Alam najal arda mihada. Have we not made the earth a resting place, resting for the living being, resting for the dead people as well? And as you might know, that we think this earth is stand still. But the moment we are having this Jumu'ah, Salah, Jumu'ah, Khutba, the earth moves 67,000 miles per hour around the sun. Not only 65 miles per hour when you drive in highway. How you feel? We feel like our car is going to be flying. This earth is moving around the sun 67,000 miles per hour. And we feel that it stands still. If we put a glass of water somewhere, that water is not going to realize that this earth is moving around the sun in this grand speed. In this time of science, sometimes we see the picture from the space and the sun's family moving around and swimming into the air. If we open our eyes, we can see. And even the blind people, like Helen Keller, she was blind, she couldn't talk, she couldn't hear. But whatever she saw, even the people who have eyes didn't see. Langston Hughes says, she in the dark found light, brighter than many ever see. She within herself found loveliness through the soul's own mastery. And now the world receives from her dower the message of the strength of inner power. If we open our inner eyes, we can see the hikmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the creation. One thing, you can concentrate your eyesight to a tiny point or a dot, the magnificence of our eyes. And you can look and see the whole vast sky with the same eye, with the stars and suns and other constellation. You can see the same eye. Or we can, with the same eyes, you can concentrate on a tiny dot. That's how it is made. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is made our body parts like that, useful. We do not realize the air around us. When you blow it, we feel it. We sunk into the air around us, but we don't realize. It is fit in such a way in our atmosphere that it never goes away, never vanishes, always around us, so that we can breathe the air, the invisible but inevitable element destined for us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we don't realize our existence. Our existence is the very gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With their Allah given existence and the intellect, the atheist, the non-believing, the non-believer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the same existence, same quality given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the research of not being non-existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are given their life by Allah, and with that quality they try to research that non-existent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are lost. They don't know. They are confused about their life again and again. But we are not lost. We know where did we come from. We know what to do on earth by the light of the Quran and by the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we know the destination as well. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us in this way. In ahsantum li anfusikum. Wa in asa'tum fa laha. If you did well, you did well for yourself. Whatever you are doing good, you are doing for yourself. And if you did evil, it's going to be against yourself. This is a parenthetical sentence. If anyone follows the laws of Allah, the benefit goes to that person, himself or herself. That person doesn't do any favor to anyone else. Similarly, evil brings its own recompense, own return, own consequence on the doer of evil. That's why we should pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the good of this life and the life of hereafter. But some people, among other belief, they do different thing, opposite thing. The prayer that man should make for good, he makes for evil. For man is given hasty deeds. Another translation. Man supplicates for evil. Man asks for evil as he should supplicate for good. And man is ever hasty. Man, actually the human being, in his ignorance or haste, hurry, rapidity, mistakes evil for good and desires what he should not have. The wise and instructed soul has patience and does not put its own desires above the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't go ahead. They don't put the desire, wish above the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That person, the person, wise people, righteous people, they receive with contentment the favors of Allah and prays to be rightly guided in his desires and in his petitions, in his asking. Through ages, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent one message of oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Old Testament, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Oh, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one," in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 4. Has not the one God made and sustained for us the spirit of life, in Malachi 2:15. I am the Lord, and besides me there is no one. In Isaiah 43, verse number 11. And even New Testament, in Matthew chapter 4, verse number 10. Worship the Lord your God and serve Him only. Dear fellow Muslims, from Adam alayhi salam to Isa alayhi salam, in between numerous prophets and messengers were sent for a human being, for the benefit, for the hidayah, for the guidance for a human being. The time came to reveal the last Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Creator knows the wave of time, the mentality of the human being, what is the condition of that, and when to send the last Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After Isa alayhi salam, 600 years were gone, and there was the right moment to reveal the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the final Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And how was he? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And we have not sent you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except as a mercy of the world. He was not only for one kind of people. He was not only for we are the chosen people kind of people. He is, and he was, and he will be for all kind of races, all kind of people on earth. The time will come. The differences we see in this present world, they will think, ربما يود الذين كفروا لو كانوا مسلمين. Perhaps those who disbelieve will wish that they had been Muslims. In another translations, again and again, will those who disbelieve wish that they had been bowed to Allah's will in Islam. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, the Jewish people, whenever they were away from the right track of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah ta'ala sent prophets to them, but they misbehaved with them, didn't believe or corrected themselves. They tried to kill Isa alayhi salam. Yahya alayhi salam was beheaded because of their conspiracy. They showed their entire enmity with the final prophet Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But some of them, the people who were really wise and understandable and ready to accept the final revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Shu'ara that, and it has not been assigned to them, is it not assigned to them that it is recognized by the scholars of the children of Israel, ulama Bani Israel. Many of the Jewish scholars recognized the last prophet's message as a message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, Abdullah bin Salam and Mukhayrik. Mukhayrik was a man of property, which he left for Islam. He not only accepted Islam, the Jewish scholar, he donated his property for the sake of Islam, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are also Christian monks who learned men who recognize the Prophet's mission. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, ups and downs in Muslims' life is not a new thing. This is the part of our life. What's going on in the Middle East and what's have been going on in our life till the very moment of revealing Islam in the very first century of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to remind ourselves again and again that our house will remain as it is after our death. Our favorite spot in our house is going to be as it is. Our favorite chair, which we are sitting on now, going at home, is going to be rocking and going to be sitting there. Our dear corner of our sofa is going to be like that. Our shoes will remain silent with its hollow chest and stand still, waiting for our feet to fit in. Our dresses waving into our closet, yearning for us to be worn. But with our deaths, we are gone, entered into the everlasting life of hereafter. That's why while we are alive, let us remind ourselves once again the three things that are ours. Prophet ﷺ reminding us in this way. The food you are eaten already, that's yours. The clothes you own and made it old, that's yours. And the given away wealth in charity, that's yours. After death, as you know, Sadaqah Jariyah continuous charity is going to be benefiting you. The knowledge left behind which is beneficial, useful to others. And the pious children who make dua for you. That's why let us remind ourselves this last verse here. Your wealth and your children are but a trial. And Allah has with him a great reward. Fear Allah, be conscious of Allah. Be conscious of the order of Allah and the prohibition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As much as you are able. And three advices Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us here in this verse. In Surah Al-Ghabun. Listen and obey and spend in the way of Allah. It is better for your slaves, for yourselves. And whoever is protected from the stinginess of his soul, it is those who will be successful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept us among those people who are successful abiding by this beautiful verse of the Quran. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا واتوبوا إليه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Dear fellow Muslims, as we know that few countries or Muslim brothers and sisters and children, they are going through a very, very tough time. Let us make a dua for them in this section of the khutbah. Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Rahman Rahim, save and protect our Muslim brothers and sisters and children, wherever they are in trouble. We witnessed the calamity in Morocco and Libya. Ya Rabb, help them to have trust on you. Provide courage and means to overcome the situations and back to their normal life. Ya Hayyul Qayyum, shower your rahmah on our fellow Muslims in Palestine. Ya Ghafur Rahim, solve their years after years conflict and allow them to be in their homeland in peace and liberated environment. Oh Allah, help them with your greater and accurate plan to rescue their freedom. Oh Allah, protect the people of Palestine. Ease their pain and suffering. Bestow your mercy on them. Open people's heart to give charity in this time of crisis. Oh Allah, help those who are in need, wherever they may be. Oh Allah, they are helpless, so help them. Allahumma innahum maghlubun fantasir lahum. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم ربنا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا أفرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين وقال سبحانه وتعالى واذكروني فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. أقيم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، قامت الصلاة، قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. A small announcement. We are going kind of late regarding our construction. Brother Mandur is not here. Brother Sadat can help me. Inshallah, we need your help with dua. We need your help with money. We are short almost $40,000 to $50,000 to finish the project. We are working on a good Qardun Hassan, a good loan from some brothers. If you can help, at least with your dua. Jazakum Allah khair. Our project, inshallah, soon, inshallah, Ramadan, all our team, our community will be there, inshallah. Keep your dua. Fix it between us, between yourself and your family, between you and your friends. That's part of faraj min Allah, protection from Allah. It comes when we are good to each other, when you are good to the closest people and the people you work with and people you make business with. Don't think we are smart to do something wrong and Allah will let us go and succeed for Bina Masjid or to do anything to please Allah. Our brother Uthman, he's not here for 2 weeks. He has a surgery. He's getting better. Make dua for him. If you have anybody sick or somebody just passed or somebody in need, just keep dua. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help us. Jazakum Allah. Sadat has small thing.
Assalamu alaikum, Jama'at.
Alaikum salam.
The masjid in Brockton, they're organizing Umrah for coming Ramadan. So if anybody is interested, you can see me or I can just put the information on our group.
Jazakum Allah.